Soccer star denies autograph to fat woman, then learns her shocking identity. The crowd was deafening as Liam stepped out of the practice facility, sunglasses perched on his nose, and a smug smile plastered on his face. The young soccer star basked in the attention of his adoring fans. Cameras flashed, voices called out his name, and autograph books were shoved in his direction. It was chaos, but Liam thrived in it. This was his world now, untouchable, adored, and unapologetically arrogant. "Liam, over here." A young boy waved frantically, clutching a soccer ball close to his chest. Liam gave him a brief nod but made no move to stop, his entourage hustling him toward his car parked a few feet away. Behind the boy, a woman in her 40s stood with her teenage niece, her excitement palpable. Mary had been a lifelong fan of the sport, and seeing Liam up close was a thrill she couldn't put into words. Her niece, Sophie, tugged on her arm, holding out a notebook. "Aunt Mary, let's go ask him for an autograph." Mary hesitated, glancing at the growing throng of fans. "Are you sure? He looks busy." "He's just standing there," Sophie insisted. "Come on." Summoning her courage, Mary made her way through the crowd, her heart pounding as she got closer to Liam. He was even taller in person, his athletic build commanding attention. She could see why people idolized him. He was the picture of success and confidence. But as she drew nearer, she noticed something else: the dismissive way he glanced over the crowd, as though the people clamoring for his attention were an inconvenience. Mary cleared her throat, clutching Sophie's hand. "Excuse me, Mr. Carter," she said, her voice tentative but polite. "Would you mind signing this for my niece? She's a big fan." Liam turned, his sunglasses reflecting the sunlight. He barely spared Mary a glance before looking at Sophie. "Sure, kid," he said, reaching for the notebook. But as his eyes flickered back to Mary, his expression changed. His smile faltered, replaced by a look of irritation. "Actually," he said, handing the notebook back without signing it, "I don't have time for this." Mary's cheeks flushed. "It'll just take a second," she said, her voice wavering. "Please." Liam took a step back, raising a hand. "Look, I appreciate the support, but I can't stop for everyone, okay?" The crowd around them grew quiet, sensing the tension. Mary felt her heart sink as she noticed the way Liam's gaze swept over her, not with admiration, but with judgment. His lip curled ever so slightly, as if her presence offended him. "Maybe next time," he added curtly before turning away. Sophie tugged on Mary's arm. "Aunt Mary, it's okay," she whispered, her voice laced with embarrassment. But Mary wasn't okay. The humiliation burned through her, hot and sharp, as the crowd began murmuring. She forced a tight smile and nodded, letting Sophie pull her away. As they walked back toward their car, Mary could feel the weight of the stairs behind her. She didn't look back. Inside the car, Mary gripped the steering wheel, staring straight ahead as Sophie sat silently beside her. The excitement of the day had evaporated, replaced by a heavy, suffocating disappointment. "I'm sorry, Sophie," Mary said finally, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean for that to happen." "It's not your fault," Sophie said, her tone defensive. "He's just a jerk. I don't want his autograph anyway." But Mary couldn't shake the sting of Liam's reaction. It wasn't just the rejection, it was the look in his eyes, the unspoken judgment that cut deeper than words. She had spent her life dealing with people who saw her size before they saw her, who assumed she was less deserving of respect because of the way she looked. She had learned to let most of it roll off her back, but today, it hurt more than usual. As they drove home, Sophie pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos she had taken at the practice. "You know what?" she said, her voice gaining strength. "People need to know what he's really like." Mary frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean this," Sophie replied, holding up her phone. She had snapped a picture of Liam turning away from them, his expression cold and dismissive. "I'm going to post this. Let people see how he treats his fans." Mary hesitated, torn between her frustration and her desire to move on. "I don't know, Sophie. What's the point? It's not like it'll change anything." "It might," Sophie said stubbornly. "People deserve to know the truth." Meanwhile, Liam sat in the back seat of his car, scrolling through his own phone. His manager, Tom, sat in the front, glancing at him through the rearview mirror. "Good turnout today," Tom said. "The fans love you." "Yeah," Liam replied absently, barely paying attention. His thumb swiped lazily through his social media feed, liking a few posts from sponsors and ignoring the endless tags from fans. But as the evening wore on, Liam's feed began to look different. A single post was gaining traction, shared and commented on by hundreds of people. It was a photo of him outside the practice facility, turning away from Mary and Sophie. The caption read, "This is how Liam Carter treats his fans. Think twice before idolizing someone who can't even sign an autograph." Liam's stomach sank as he clicked on the post. The comments were brutal. "What a jerk. Fans are the reason he's where he is. This is disgusting behavior. Do better, him. Wow. Lost all respect for him." Tom's phone buzzed, and he glanced at the screen before swearing under his breath. "Liam, we've got a problem." Liam leaned forward. "What kind of problem?" "Your little stunt today. It's going viral and not in a good way." Tom turned in his seat, his expression grim. "We need to fix this. Fast." Liam rolled his eyes. "It's just a bunch of trolls. Who cares?" "You should care," Tom snapped. "Your sponsors care. Your team cares. If you don't handle this, it could cost you everything." Liam sighed, leaning back in his seat. He didn't understand what the big deal was. So he hadn't signed one autograph. Was that really worth all this outrage? But as the night went on and the backlash grew, he began to realize this wasn't going to blow over. The next morning, Tom showed up at Liam's apartment, a tablet in hand. "We found out who the woman in the photo is," he said, his tone sharp. "Okay," Liam said, still half asleep. And Tom continued, thrusting the tablet into Liam's hands, "You're going to want to sit down for this?" Liam glanced at the screen, his brow furrowing. The article displayed a photo of Mary, smiling in a soccer jersey from years ago. The headline read, "Soccer star snubs fan. Turns out she was his first coach." Liam's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Her name's Mary Thompson," Tom said. "She ran a community soccer program in your hometown when you were a kid. She's the reason you started playing." Liam stared at the screen, his mind racing. The memories were hazy, but as he looked closer at the photo, he began to remember. Mary had been the coach who encouraged him to join the team, who taught him the basics of the game and pushed him to believe in himself. She had been patient and kind, always showing up with a smile even when the kids didn't listen. "I didn't recognize her," Liam said quietly. "Well, now you know," Tom replied. "And now, you're going to make this right?" Liam sat on his couch, staring at the screen in front of him. The picture of Mary in her old soccer jersey brought back a flood of memories he hadn't thought about in years. He could see it clearly now, her warm smile as she bent down to tie a younger Liam's shoelaces before a practice game, the way she cheered louder than anyone when he scored his first goal, the quiet encouragement she gave him when he struggled with self-doubt. She had been the first person to tell him he had potential, the first to believe in him when no one else did. And now, all he had done was humiliate her. Tom paced back and forth in the living room, his frustration evident. "Liam, this isn't just a PR nightmare anymore. This is personal. You need to fix this." "I know," Liam muttered, running a hand through his hair. "But what am I supposed to say? Sorry for being a complete jerk? She probably hates me now." "She might," Tom admitted, crossing his arms. "But this isn't about how you feel. It's about taking responsibility. You can't undo what happened, but you can make amends." Liam sighed, leaning back against the couch. He had spent years building up walls, shutting out anything that didn't serve his career or his image. But now, those walls were crumbling, and he didn't know how to face what lay beyond them. Tom pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts. "There's a charity event this weekend," he said. "Mary's scheduled to be there as a guest speaker. You're going to show up, apologize, and make it right?" Liam frowned. "What if she doesn't want to talk to me?" "Then you'll listen," Tom said firmly. "No excuses. No ego. Just listen." The day of the charity event arrived, and Liam found himself standing outside the venue, nerves twisting in his stomach. It wasn't the kind of event he usually attended. There were no red carpets, no paparazzi, no VIP lounges. The space was simple but inviting, filled with families, community leaders, and volunteers. Liam adjusted the collar of his shirt, glancing at Tom. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Tom gave him a pointed look. "It's the right thing to do, Liam. Now get in there." Taking a deep breath, Liam stepped inside. The room was bustling with activity, the atmosphere warm and welcoming. He spotted Mary almost immediately, standing near the stage. She was talking with a group of children, her face lighting up as she laughed at something one of them said. She looked different from how he remembered, older, perhaps, but still radiating that same kindness and energy that had made such an impression on him as a child. As Liam approached, his heart pounded in his chest. Mary turned, her smile fading as she recognized him. The children around her fell silent, sensing the tension. "Mary," Liam began, his voice hesitant. "Can we talk?" She crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "I'm not sure what there is to talk about. I wanted to apologize," he said, his words tumbling out in a rush. "For how I treated you. For not recognizing you. For everything." Mary studied him for a moment, her gaze steady. "Do you even remember me, Liam? Or is this just damage control?" "I remember," he said quietly. "It took me a while, but I do. You were my first coach. You taught me everything I know about soccer. You believed in me when no one else did. And he looked down, shame washing over him. I let you down." Mary's expression softened, though her guard didn't drop entirely. "You hurt a lot of people that day, Liam. Not just me, but everyone who looks up to you. You've forgotten where you came from." "I know," he admitted. "I got so caught up in everything, fame, success, that I lost sight of what really matters. But I want to make it right. I want to do better." Mary sighed, her arms falling to her sides. "Words are easy, Liam. Actions are harder. If you really want to make it right, show me." "I will," he said, his voice firm. "I promise." Over the next few weeks, Liam threw himself into making amends. He started with Mary, asking her to share her story and help him reconnect with the values he had lost. She was hesitant at first, unsure if his intentions were genuine, but as she saw his efforts unfold, her skepticism began to fade. One afternoon, Liam visited the community center where Mary worked with underprivileged kids. The center was a modest space, with worn-out equipment and a small soccer field out back. But despite its humble appearance, it was filled with life and energy. As Liam stepped onto the field, the children stared at him in awe. "Is that Liam Carter?" one of them whispered. "Yeah," another said. "What's he doing here?" Liam smiled awkwardly, feeling out of place. Mary clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. "All right, everyone listen up. This is Liam, and he's here to help us with practice today." The kids cheered, their excitement infectious. For the first time in years, Liam felt a genuine sense of purpose as he joined them on the field. He showed them drills, cheered them on, and shared tips from his own experiences. By the end of the day, he was covered in dirt and sweat, but he couldn't stop smiling. As the sun began to set, Mary approached him, a soccer ball tucked under her arm. "You did good today," she said. "The kids loved having you here." "I loved being here," Liam replied. "It reminded me why I fell in love with soccer in the first place." Mary nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "You've got a long way to go, Liam. But if you keep this up, you might just get there." Liam's transformation didn't go unnoticed. The media began to pick up on his efforts, highlighting his work with the community center and his partnership with Mary. But Liam didn't care about the headlines anymore. For the first time, he was focused on something bigger than himself. He also made amends with Sophie, inviting her and Mary to one of his games as VIP guests. When they arrived at the stadium, Liam greeted them personally, ensuring they were treated with the respect they deserved. "I'm sorry for what happened," he told Sophie, his voice sincere. "You deserve better, and I'll spend the rest of my career proving that I've learned from my mistakes." Sophie nodded, her initial anger giving way to a cautious smile. "Just don't let it happen again," she said. "I won't," Liam promised. The game that night was electric, with Liam scoring the winning goal in the final minutes. As the crowd erupted into cheers, he pointed to the stands where Mary and Sophie sat, dedicating the goal to them. The gesture brought tears to Mary's eyes, and for the first time, she felt like the young boy she had coached all those years ago was still in there somewhere. In the months that followed, Liam continued to grow, using his platform to advocate for kindness and inclusion. He partnered with Mary to create a scholarship fund for underprivileged kids, giving them access to sports programs and mentorship opportunities. He also began mentoring young athletes, sharing not just his skills but the lessons he had learned about humility and gratitude. Mary, too, found a renewed sense of purpose. Her work at the community center flourished, thanks in part to the resources Liam provided. But more than that, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment knowing she had helped Liam rediscover the values that had made him great in the first place. One evening, as they stood on the sidelines of a community game, Mary turned to Liam and smiled. "You've come a long way," she said. "I'm proud of you." Liam looked at her, his expression serious. "I wouldn't be here without you, Mary. You're the reason I started this journey. And I'll never forget that again." As the game played on, Mary and Liam stood together, watching the next generation of players chase their dreams. It was a moment of closure, but also a new beginning, a reminder that growth was always possible, no matter how far you'd strayed. Months passed, and Liam's life began to take on a new rhythm. Gone were the days when he viewed success as a solo endeavor. Now, his victories felt fuller, richer, because they were shared, not just with teammates, but with the people he had wronged and the community he had learned to embrace. Mary had become a regular fixture in Liam's life. They talked often, sharing ideas about how to make soccer more accessible to children who couldn't afford expensive equipment or league fees. Liam had set aside a portion of his earnings to support these initiatives, ensuring no child was turned away for lack of resources. "Liam," Mary said one afternoon as they sat in her office at the community center, "have you ever thought about opening your own youth academy? You could use it to teach soccer, sure, but also to focus on values, teamwork, respect, and humility." Liam leaned back in his chair, considering her words. "I've thought about it, but I don't want it to be just another academy. I want it to mean something." "Then make it mean something," Mary said simply. "Look at what you've already done. You've turned this community center into a hub for these kids. They look up to you, not just because of your talent, but because of the person you're becoming. An academy could be an extension of that." Liam nodded slowly, a spark of excitement flickering in his chest. "You're right. Let's do it. But only if you agree to help me run it." Mary raised an eyebrow. "Me? I thought you were the big shot here." "Maybe," Liam said with a grin, "but you're the one who started it all." "I need you, Mary. These kids need you." Mary sighed, but the smile tugging at her lips gave her away. "All right, Liam. Let's make it happen." The next few months were a whirlwind of planning and preparation. Liam and Mary worked tirelessly to bring their vision to life, securing a location, designing the space, and assembling a team of coaches and mentors who shared their passion for soccer and community building. They named it the Thompson Carter Academy, a tribute to their shared journey. When the academy finally opened its doors, the response was overwhelming. Kids from all over the city flocked to join, eager to be part of something special. The opening ceremony was a celebration, with speeches from Mary and Liam, a showcase of the academy's programs, and a spirited scrimmage on the newly built field. During the event, Liam stood on the sidelines, watching the kids play with an intensity and joy that reminded him of his own early days. Mary joined him, her hands tucked into the pockets of her jacket. "They look happy," she said, nodding toward the field. "They are," Liam replied. "Because they feel seen. That's what this is all about, isn't it? Giving them the chance to feel like they belong." Mary glanced at him, her smile soft. "You've come a long way, Liam." "So have you," he said, his voice warm. "And we're just getting started." As the academy grew, so did Liam's connection to the community. He began spending more time mentoring individual kids, getting to know their stories and struggles. One boy, in particular, caught his attention, a quiet, lanky teenager named Marcus who had a natural talent for soccer but struggled with confidence. During one practice session, Marcus hesitated on the field, passing the ball when he had a clear shot at the goal. Liam blew his whistle, calling him over. "Marcus," Liam said, crouching to meet the boy's eye level. "Why didn't you take the shot?" Marcus shuffled his feet, looking down. "I didn't want to mess it up." Listen to me, Liam said, his tone firm but kind. You've got the talent, Marcus. I've seen it. But you have to believe in yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, that's how you learn. But you can't hold back because you're afraid. Marcus nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. But I'll try. Good, Liam said, clapping him on the shoulder. Now get back out there and show me what you've got. Later that day, Marcus approached Liam, his face glowing with excitement. Coach Liam, I scored a goal. I did what you said, I just went for it. Liam smiled, his chest swelling with pride. That's what I'm talking about. Keep it up, Marcus. You've got this. Moments like these reminded Liam of why he had started this journey. It wasn't about repairing his image or erasing his mistakes. It was about making a real difference in the lives of others. One evening, as Liam was locking up the academy, he noticed Mary sitting on a bench near the field, gazing out at the empty space. He walked over, hands in his pockets, and sat down beside her. Everything okay? He asked. Mary nodded, though her expression was distant. I was just thinking about how far we've come. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be here, doing this with you, I don't think I would have believed them. Me neither, Liam admitted. But I'm glad we are. Mary smiled, her gaze softening. You've changed, Liam. And I don't just mean the way you act. You've changed where it matters. Liam looked down, his fingers tracing the edge of the bench. I owe that to you, Mary. You reminded me of the person I used to be, the person I wanted to be. I lost my way, but you helped me find it again. Mary reached over, squeezing his hand. We all lose our way sometimes. The important thing is that we find it again. And you have. The Academy's success began to attract national attention, with reporters and sports commentators praising Liam's transformation and his dedication to giving back. But for Liam, the real reward was the relationships he had built and the impact he could see firsthand. One day, as he was finishing up a training session, he received a phone call from Sophie. She sounded nervous but determined. Uncle Liam, she said, using the affectionate nickname she had adopted for him. There's something I want to tell you. What is it? He asked, his tone gentle. I'm trying out for my school's soccer team, she said quickly. I've been practicing with Aunt Mary, and I think I'm ready. Liam's heart swelled with pride. That's amazing, Sophie. You're going to crush it? Do you really think so? She asked, her voice uncertain. I know so, he replied. And if you need any help, you know where to find me. Sophie laughed, her confidence growing. Thanks, Uncle Liam. That means a lot. As the months turned into years, Liam continued to grow, both as a player and as a person. The academy flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and opportunity for kids who might not have otherwise had a chance to pursue their dreams. Mary remained his steadfast partner, guiding him with her wisdom and unwavering belief in the power of community. One day, as they stood together at the edge of the field, watching a group of kids play a spirited game, Mary turned to Liam with a thoughtful expression. You know, she said, this is your legacy. Liam frowned, confused. What do you mean? This, Mary said, gesturing to the field, the kids, the academy. This is what people are going to remember you for. Not the goals, not the fame, but the lives you've changed. Liam looked out at the field, his heart full. I think I'm okay with that. Mary smiled, her eyes shining with pride. You should be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the field in a warm, golden glow, Liam felt a deep sense of peace. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had led him to a place of purpose and fulfillment he hadn't known was possible. And for the first time, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. The Thompson Carter Academy had become more than just a sports training facility. It was a sanctuary for kids to find themselves and a platform for life lessons they might not have learned anywhere else. Liam often found himself spending hours there, long after practices had ended. The place had become his second home, and in many ways, his salvation. One crisp autumn afternoon, Liam was sitting on the edge of the bleachers, watching the kids finish up a scrimmage. Marcus, now one of the academy's star players, led his team with a sense of confidence Liam hardly recognized in the shy boy he'd met months ago. Watching Marcus sprint down the field, Liam couldn't help but smile. Mary approached him with 2 cups of coffee in hand, offering one to him as she sat down beside him. It's amazing, isn't it? She said, nodding toward the field. Watching them grow. It really is, Liam agreed, taking a sip. Marcus looks like a completely different kid now. He's got that spark, you know? That's because someone finally told him he could, Mary said, nudging Liam playfully. Kind of like what happened to you all those years ago. Liam chuckled softly, shaking his head. I'm starting to think you give me too much credit. Mary arched an eyebrow. And I think you don't give yourself enough. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching as Marcus dribbled past two defenders and scored with a perfectly placed shot. The field erupted into cheers, the kids shouting and laughing as they ran toward Marcus to celebrate. Mary glanced at Liam, a warm smile on her face. Moments like this make it all worth it, don't they? Liam nodded, his gaze still fixed on the field. Yeah, they really do. That evening, Liam returned home feeling lighter than he had in years. The academy, the kids, and his partnership with Mary had given his life a meaning he hadn't known he was missing. As he sat at his kitchen table, scrolling through emails, one subject line caught his eye: invitation to speak at National Youth Sports Summit. Liam opened the email, reading it carefully. The summit was one of the biggest events in youth sports, bringing together coaches, athletes, and community leaders from across the country. The organizers wanted Liam to deliver the keynote address, focusing on the importance of mentorship and creating inclusive spaces in sports. His first instinct was to decline. Public speaking had never been his strong suit, and the thought of standing in front of hundreds of people made his palms sweat. But then he thought about the kids at the academy, about Marcus, about Mary. This wasn't about him. It was about them and the message they had helped him build. The next morning, Liam called Mary to tell her about the invitation. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "I think you should do it," Mary said without hesitation. "You've got a story worth sharing, Liam. And people need to hear it." "But what if I mess it up?" he asked. "Then you mess it up," Mary said simply. "But knowing you, I don't think that'll happen. Just speak from the heart. That's all you need to do." The day of the summit arrived, and Liam found himself backstage, pacing nervously as he waited for his turn to speak. The auditorium was packed, the crowd buzzing with anticipation. A staff member approached him, handing him a microphone and signaling that it was time. Liam took a deep breath, stepping out onto the stage. The bright lights and the sea of faces momentarily overwhelmed him, but he focused on Mary's words, "Speak from the heart." "Thank you," he began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "When I was a kid, soccer wasn't just a game to me, it was an escape. It was a way to feel like I belonged, even when the world made me feel like I didn't." He paused, scanning the audience. "But I didn't get here on my own. I had people in my corner who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. One of those people is here today. My first coach, Mary Thompson." The crowd erupted into applause as Mary, sitting in the front row, blushed and waved awkwardly. Liam smiled, his nerves easing as he continued. "She saw something in me when I was just a shy, scrappy kid who didn't know his own potential. And years later, when I lost sight of who I was, she reminded me. She reminded me that success isn't about trophies or fame, it's about the impact you have on others." Liam went on to share the story of the academy, the kids who had inspired him, and the lessons he had learned about humility and growth. By the time he finished, the audience was on their feet, applauding not just his words, but the journey he had taken to get there. After the summit, Liam was approached by dozens of attendees, coaches, parents, and young athletes who wanted to thank him for his honesty and inspiration. One coach, a middle-aged man with a kind face, shook Liam's hand firmly. "Your story really resonated with me," the man said. "It reminded me why I got into coaching in the first place." "Thank you for that." Liam nodded, his heart full. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot." Mary joined him a few minutes later, her eyes shining with pride. "You were amazing up there, Liam." "I had a pretty great coach," he replied, grinning. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. The academy received a surge of interest from parents and community leaders wanting to get involved. Liam and Mary worked tirelessly to keep up with the demand, expanding their programs and building partnerships with other organizations. One evening, as they were wrapping up a long day at the academy, Mary turned to Liam with a thoughtful expression. "Have you ever thought about taking this nationwide?" Liam blinked. "Nationwide? You mean opening more academies?" "Why not?" Mary said, her tone earnest. "What we've built here works, Liam. Imagine how many more kids we could reach if we expanded." The idea was daunting, but it also sparked a sense of excitement in Liam. "That's a big step," he said. "But I think we're ready for it." Mary smiled. "Good. Because I've already started looking into it." Liam laughed, shaking his head. "Of course you have." The plan to expand the academy took shape over the next several months. Liam and Mary traveled to cities across the country, meeting with community leaders and scouting locations for new academies. The process was exhausting but rewarding, and each step brought them closer to their goal. One day, as they visited a potential site in a small Midwest town, Liam noticed a boy kicking a soccer ball against the side of a building. The boy's movements were precise, his focus intense. Liam approached him, smiling. "Hey there," Liam said. "You've got some skills." The boy looked up, startled. "Thanks," he said shyly. "Do you play on a team?" Liam asked. The boy shook his head. "There's no league around here. I just practice by myself." Liam exchanged a glance with Mary, both of them thinking the same thing. This was why they were doing this, for kids like him who just needed a chance. "Well," Liam said, crouching to the boy's level, "how would you like to be one of the first players at our new academy?" The boy's eyes widened. "Really?" "Really," Liam said with a grin. "We'll see you soon." By the time the first expansion academy opened its doors, Liam and Mary had built something truly remarkable. What had started as a single facility had grown into a movement, one that was changing lives across the country. And through it all, Liam never forgot the lessons he had learned: the importance of humility, the power of mentorship, and the value of giving back. One evening, as he stood on the field at the original academy, watching the kids play under the glow of the floodlights, Mary joined him, a satisfied smile on her face. "You did it," she said simply. "No," Liam replied, his voice quiet but firm. "We did it." As the game played on and the laughter of the kids filled the air, Liam felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The journey had been long and full of challenges, but it had led him here, a place of purpose, connection, and hope. And he wouldn't have it any other way. The Thompson Carter Academy's expansion was officially underway. The original location continued to thrive, but now there were plans for 3 new academies in different parts of the country. Each location was chosen strategically, underserved areas where kids often didn't have access to sports programs or mentorship opportunities. Liam found himself busier than ever, traveling between sites, meeting with local leaders, and ensuring the new academies would maintain the same values and quality as the original. But no matter how hectic his schedule became, he made it a point to return to the original academy every week. It was his anchor, the place that reminded him why he had started this journey. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of meetings, Liam walked onto the field at the original academy. The kids were just finishing practice, their laughter echoing through the cool evening air. He smiled, waving at a group of them as they passed by. "Coach Liam," Marcus called out, running over with a wide grin. "You're back." "Of course," Liam said, ruffling Marcus's hair. "How was practice?" "Awesome," Marcus said excitedly. "We're getting ready for the tournament next month. Coach Mary says we've got a real shot at winning." Liam chuckled. "If Mary says it, you better believe it. She knows what she's talking about." Marcus beamed, then hesitated, his expression growing serious. "Coach Liam, do you think you'll always come back? Even with all the new academies and stuff?" Liam crouched down to Marcus's level, meeting his gaze. "Marcus, no matter how busy things get, this place will always be my home. And I'll always come back. I promise." Marcus nodded, his smile returning. "But just making sure." The next day, Liam met with Mary at the academy's office to review plans for the upcoming tournament. The event was a big deal. It would bring together teams from all 3 new academies, as well as the original location. It was a chance to showcase the progress they had made and to celebrate the kids' hard work. Mary spread out a series of diagrams on the desk, pointing to different sections of the tournament schedule. We've got everything lined up, opening ceremonies, team introductions, even a skills workshop between games. It's going to be a packed weekend. Liam nodded, scanning the diagrams. Looks great. How are the kids feeling about it? Excited, Mary said with a smile. And a little nervous. For some of them, this will be their first tournament. We'll make sure it's an experience they'll never forget, Liam said. Win or lose. Mary glanced at him, her smile softening. You've really grown into this role, you know. I don't think the Liam I met a year ago would have said something like that. Liam laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. A lot can change in a year. It can, Mary agreed. And you're proof of that. The tournament weekend arrived, and the atmosphere at the original academy was electric. Teams from all over the region arrived, their energy contagious as they warmed up and prepared for their matches. Parents and supporters filled the sidelines, cheering loudly as the first game kicked off. Liam and Mary moved through the crowd, greeting players and coaches, ensuring everything ran smoothly. Liam couldn't help but feel a swell of pride as he watched the kids pour their hearts into every play. This was what it was all about, giving them the chance to shine, to believe in themselves. During a break between games, Liam noticed a familiar face in the crowd. Sophie was sitting with her school teammates, her uniform neat and her cleats scuffed from use. She waved when she saw him, and Liam made his way over. "Uncle Liam," Sophie said, standing up to greet him. "What do you think of the tournament so far?" "It's incredible," Liam said, grinning. "How about you? Ready for your game?" "Almost," Sophie said, a nervous edge to her voice. "It's a big deal, you know? There are so many people watching." Liam placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've got this, Sophie. Just play your game. You've worked hard for this moment." Sophie nodded, her confidence bolstered by his words. "Thanks, Uncle Liam. I'll do my best." As Sophie's game began, Liam and Mary stood on the sidelines, cheering loudly. Sophie played with determination, her skills on full display as she maneuvered past defenders and set up her teammates for goals. By the end of the game, her team had secured a hard-fought victory, and Sophie's smile was brighter than ever. Liam high-fived her as she left the field. "That was amazing, Sophie. I'm so proud of you." "Thanks," she said, beaming. "I couldn't have done it without you and Aunt Mary." The tournament concluded with a closing ceremony, where medals were awarded and every team was recognized for their effort and sportsmanship. Liam took the stage alongside Mary to deliver a short speech. "Today," Liam began, his voice steady and warm, "we saw something incredible. Not just skill and competition, but heart. Every player on this field gave it their all, and that's what makes this so special. It's not about the trophies, it's about the journey, the friendships, and the lessons we learn along the way." The crowd erupted into applause, and Liam stepped back, allowing Mary to take the microphone. She smiled, her gaze sweeping over the sea of faces. "This is just the beginning," she said. "The beginning of something bigger than any one of us. Together, we're building a community where everyone belongs, where everyone has a chance to succeed. And that's something to celebrate." As the ceremony ended, Liam stood with Mary on the field, watching as the kids mingled and laughed, their medals glinting in the fading sunlight. "We did good today," he said, his voice tinged with emotion. Mary nodded, her eyes shining. "We really did." In the weeks that followed, Liam and Mary reflected on the success of the tournament and the impact it had on the kids. The event had solidified their mission and inspired them to push even further. They began exploring partnerships with other organizations, expanding their reach and finding new ways to support the communities they served. One afternoon, as Liam was reviewing plans for the next academy expansion, he received a call from Marcus's mother. Her voice was filled with gratitude as she shared some unexpected news. "Liam," she said, "Marcus has been scouted by a youth development team. They want him to join their program." Liam's jaw dropped. "That's incredible. Marcus must be thrilled." "He is," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "But he wanted me to tell you first. He says he wouldn't have had the confidence to do this without you." Liam felt a lump rise in his throat. "Thank you for telling me. Marcus deserves this. He's worked so hard." As he hung up the phone, Liam couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Moments like these were the true measure of success, not the accolades or the headlines, but the lives changed along the way. That evening, Liam shared the news with Mary as they sat in the office, reviewing schedules. Her face lit up with pride. "Marcus is going to do great things," she said. "And it's because of you." "It's because of us," Liam corrected. "This wouldn't have been possible without you, Mary." She smiled, her expression soft. "We make a good team, don't we?" "The best," Liam said. As the academy continued to grow, so did its legacy. Kids like Marcus, Sophie, and countless others found their voices, their confidence, and their place in the world. And through it all, Liam and Mary remained at the heart of it, guiding, supporting, and inspiring every step of the way. One evening, as Liam stood on the field, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey that had started with a single moment of regret had blossomed into something extraordinary. And as he looked around, surrounded by the laughter of kids and the warmth of a community he had helped build, he knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. As the Thompson Carter Academy approached its second anniversary, its impact was being felt far beyond the communities it served directly. Families wrote letters of gratitude, coaches from other regions reached out to learn from their model, and even sports organizations began to take notice of the Academy's work. Liam, once a polarizing celebrity figure, was now becoming a respected advocate for youth empowerment and inclusivity. But despite the success, Liam couldn't ignore a nagging feeling. There was still so much more to be done. He often discussed this with Mary during their late-night planning sessions, their desks cluttered with proposals and expansion plans. "I just don't want us to lose sight of the kids," Liam said one evening, his voice heavy with concern. "The more we grow, the harder it is to stay connected to them personally. That's what this is all about, isn't it? Building real relationships?" Mary looked at him thoughtfully, setting down her pen. "It is. And you're right, growth can make that harder. But it doesn't mean we have to lose it. We just have to be intentional about how we expand. Maybe the solution isn't just building more academies. Maybe it's creating partnerships with existing organizations." Liam leaned back, considering her words. "You mean working with groups that are already doing good work and helping them improve?" "Exactly," Mary said, her eyes lighting up. "We don't have to reinvent the wheel in every community. Sometimes, all it takes is a little guidance, a little funding, and a lot of heart." Liam nodded, a spark of excitement flickering in his chest. "That could work. We could focus on mentorship, teaching others to carry this mission forward." The following months saw a shift in the Academy's strategy. While new locations were still being built, Liam and Mary began offering mentorship programs for community leaders and youth coaches across the country. They hosted workshops, shared resources, and provided funding to help other organizations create inclusive, impactful spaces. One of their first mentorship programs was with a struggling community center in Detroit. The center's director, a determined woman named Carla, had been running sports programs for kids for years but often lacked the resources to make them sustainable. When Liam and Mary visited the center for the first time, Carla greeted them with a firm handshake and a warm smile. "I can't tell you how much this means to us," she said, leading them through the small, outdated facility. "We've got the passion, but we've been scraping by for too long. These kids deserve better." Liam took in the worn-out equipment, the cracked floors, and the dim lighting. But what struck him most was the kids themselves, their laughter, their determination, their unwavering energy despite the challenges they faced. "We're here to help," Liam said, his voice resolute. "Let's make this place into something these kids can be proud of." Over the next several weeks, the Detroit Center underwent a transformation. With funding from the Thompson Carter Academy and guidance from Mary and Liam, the facility was renovated, new equipment was purchased, and the programs were expanded to include mentorship opportunities, skills training, and support for families. At the reopening ceremony, Carla stood on the stage, tears in her eyes as she addressed the crowd. "This isn't just about sports," she said. "It's about giving these kids a sense of belonging, a sense of hope. And thanks to Liam and Mary, we're able to do that on a whole new level." As the crowd erupted into applause, Liam stood beside Carla, his heart swelling with pride. This was what the Academy's mission had always been about: empowering others to make a difference. Back at the original academy, life carried on with its usual energy and warmth. Liam often found himself sitting on the sidelines during practices, watching the kids play and reflecting on how much had changed since that fateful day when he had denied Mary an autograph. He still felt a pang of guilt when he thought about it, but it was tempered by gratitude for the journey that moment had set in motion. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam noticed Marcus sitting alone on the bench, staring at the field with a faraway look in his eyes. Liam walked over, sitting down beside him. "Hey, Marcus," Liam said gently. "What's on your mind?" Marcus shrugged, his shoulders tense. "I got the call from the youth development team. They want me to start training with them next month." "That's amazing," Liam said, his voice filled with pride. "You've earned it." Marcus hesitated, his gaze fixed on the ground. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I let them down?" Liam placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, his tone firm but kind. "Marcus, do you know why they chose you? Because they see what I see. A player with incredible talent, heart, and determination. You belong there, just like you belong here." Marcus looked up, his eyes shining with uncertainty. "But what if I fail?" "Then you pick yourself back up," Liam said. "Failure isn't the end, Marcus. It's part of the journey. And no matter what happens, you've got a whole team of people here who believe in you." Marcus nodded slowly, a small smile breaking through his doubt. "Thanks, coach. That means a lot." As the academy continued to grow, Liam and Mary found themselves balancing more responsibilities than ever. The pressure was immense, but they leaned on each other for support, their partnership stronger than ever. One day, while reviewing plans for the next expansion, Mary turned to Liam with a thoughtful expression. "Have you ever thought about what's next for you personally?" Liam frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" You've done so much already. You've built this incredible legacy. But what about your own journey? What do you want your life to look like in 5, 10 years? Liam leaned back, considering her question. For so long, his focus had been on his career, then on repairing his image, and finally on building the academy. But he hadn't stopped to think about what he wanted beyond that. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I think, for the first time, I'm okay with not knowing. I just want to keep doing work that matters." Mary smiled, her gaze warm. "That's a pretty good answer." The years went by, and the Thompson Carter Academy continued to thrive. The original location remained a beacon of hope, while the new academies and partnerships spread the mission far and wide. Liam's story became an inspiration to others, a reminder that it's never too late to change, to grow, and to make a difference. One afternoon, as Liam stood on the field watching a group of kids play, Mary approached him with a letter in her hand. "This came for you," she said, handing it to him. Liam opened the envelope, his eyes scanning the neatly written words. It was from Marcus, now training with the youth development team. "Coach Liam," the letter began, "I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. Being here is the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's also the most amazing. Every time I feel like giving up, I think about what you told me, that failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. You've changed my life, and I'll never forget it." Liam's throat tightened as he finished reading, his heart full. He folded the letter carefully, tucking it into his pocket. "Good news?" Mary asked, her eyes twinkling. "The best," Liam said with a smile. "The absolute best." As they stood together, the sounds of laughter and cheers filling the air, Liam felt a deep sense of peace. The journey had been long and full of challenges, but it had brought him to a place of purpose, connection, and joy. And for the first time, he truly believed that the best was yet to come.